Sometimes we'll get emails from random companies asking to send us their keyboards for review, and most of the time it's more of the same. Sometimes though, I'll see something and I immediately say yes. This is the Kizzy Z98 Pro from Yunzi. This is a keyboard that instantly stood out to me because of how it looks, but is it any good? Let's find out. The Kizzy Z98 Pro, despite its name, is a 94 key, 96% layout wireless keyboard, and from first appearances, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. The design of the keyboard itself has a plastic shell. Usually this would be a problem for me based on my preferences, but the more I use this keyboard, the less I cared about the plastic shell. The weight of the Z98 Pro is more than you would expect for a plastic deck, weighing in at just over 1 kilo. The version we have here is the light purple colorway, and you'll notice that the top of the casing has this gradient finish that's painted along the top of it. There are other versions of the Z98 Pro as well, like there's a white version with no gradient, there's a blue version, a matcha version, and a purple version, which is more of a dark purple than the colorway that we've got here. On the sides of the deck, they're these shiny little plastic purple accents that add a little bit of bling to the edge of the deck. They look nice, but as with most keyboard things, especially on the back and the sides, you're not really going to see them when you're using the keyboard. Well, not on this keyboard anyway. In the box with the Z98 Pro, you'll find a USB Type A to Type C cable, 4 switches depending on the model that you go for. It comes with the same switches for like that version. 4 additional keycaps for the numpad, and a keycap and switch puller. The form factor of the Z98 Pro, as mentioned, is 96%. 96% is my preferred layout since you're not really sacrificing anything in terms of functionality on the keyboard. Almost all of the keys are there. The spacing on the Z98 Pro is great, and the ergonomics feel very, very well thought out. On the underside, there's height adjustable feet. They're either completely folded away, there's a low angle and a more aggressive angle. If you're new here, you might not know this, but the aggressive angle is usually my preferred setting, and a lot of people are like that as well. The legend on each of the double shot PBT keycaps is nice and easy to read, and the keycaps themselves feel different to anything I've ever used. They almost hug your fingertips, making it really hard to miss a keystroke. They're actually very, very satisfying to type on. I can't remember the name of the profile, but I've never used this profile before, and I really like it. The Z98 Pro also has per key RGB lighting, which can be controlled in the keyboard without the requirement for software. I'll come back to this in a second. There's also software, which I'll talk about in a minute as well. On the rear edge of the Z98 Pro, there's 2 USB Type-C ports. One can be used for wired mode or charging, and the other can be used to plug in a USB-C device. There's also a USB Type-A port back there for the same thing, but these can only be used in the wired mode. But that's what you'd expect, right? There's no USB that's wireless for doing that kind of stuff, or at least not with this keyboard. The thing that really got me interested in the Z98 Pro though was the little OLED screen on the top right-hand side of the deck. At first glance, it just looks like a regular old screen with a cute animation. However, if you press the button, it opens up a little menu system. In the menu, you can do almost everything that you can do with the software on your computer. You can set up custom lighting modes, including all of the different effects. You can change the brightness of the screen and the keys for the lighting itself. You can set up Bluetooth pairing for multiple devices. You can switch the keyboard layout to suit either Mac or PC. You can display a GIF or GIF on the screen, and you can also change that so there's no animation, and you can display the date and time, as well as the connection mode that it's currently using, the profile. The screen is pretty nifty. It does quite a lot for what it is. That said though, it's also got a little rocker, which can be used to change the volume on your computer and to help navigate through the menus on the keyboard itself. So the system is pretty intuitive and very easy to understand. As for connectivity, as mentioned, it's a wireless keyboard with an included dongle that lives in the dongle storage in the back edge of the keyboard. You can use it wired, Also, like I said before, you can pair it with multiple Bluetooth devices. So if your computer's got Bluetooth, you want to do it that way. You can also do it with your phone or your iPad or any tablet. The Z98 Pro also has software, which unfortunately is Windows only, but the software allows you to do anything you want, right? You can create multiple profiles on the keyboard itself and switch between the profiles. It has internal memory. The software for the Z98 Pro also allows you to fully create and record macros. Also, you can fully customize the per key RGB lighting in almost any way you can imagine, and you can customize the screen on the keyboard too. You can load in animations, you can have static images. The software actually surprised me because the software is more usable than many other large companies that make keyboards, and it just works. There's no fluffing about. As far as battery life, this one's hard to say. When I pulled it out of the box, it had around 70% power, and I've been using it for like a day or two, and as of writing the script, it's at 57%. It's probably lower now because I've done more. The internal battery is 3,750 milliamp hours, but again, the battery life is hard to say for sure. The Z98 Pro is also a fully hot swappable keyboard, which will allow you to use basically any 3 or 5 pin switch in it. The switch sockets are also south facing for the lighting. The Z98 Pro is also a gasket mounted keyboard with sandwich foam and socket foam. So it's not a very rattly keyboard, if that makes sense. As far as the switches in the keyboard, I'm not sure what they are. I couldn't find any information about that, but I'm sure you guys will know just by looking at them. The Z98 Pro also comes with either tactile or linear versions of the switch when you buy it, but it's hot swappable. You can do whatever you want with it. Let's take a little bit of a listen to this deck. The Z98 Pro is very nice to type on. As mentioned before, these keycaps are fantastic, and I find myself making less mistakes when typing on them. I know this profile of keycap may be normal for a lot of people, but I haven't used them before and I really like them a lot. As for gaming, I found myself missing less keystrokes, like I said before, which is a nice change. It's really hard to explain, but it just holds your fingers in place. And I know I keep repeating myself, but they are really good keycaps. Overall, the usability of the Z98 Pro is spot on, and I don't hate this keyboard at all. But if I had to criticize anything about the Z98 Pro, I'd have to say the biggest issue with this thing is the fact that the casing for it is plastic. Don't get me wrong, actually using the Z98 Pro feels excellent. It feels like a great deck. The problem is the plastic finish. Although it looks cool with the gradient paint job, I think it makes it feel a little bit cheap, but at the same time though, it's not a cheap feeling keyboard. I guess the fact that the finish is gloss and not matte makes it feel like it's cheaper than it actually is. From the pictures I've seen of the blue version, it looks a little bit less glossy, so maybe it doesn't feel that way. The side pieces also could have been metal, but I guess they're trying to keep the price of this down. I'll come back to that one later. The thing that really makes the Z98 Pro stand out for me though is the fact that it's wireless. This is a huge thing for me. If a keyboard doesn't have a wireless mode, we probably just won't cover it here on the channel because there's no reason for a keyboard not to have some sort of wireless connectivity in 2023. The other thing is, it seems that Yunzi did their research when it comes to doing things that custom keyboard lovers like, but also making this an off-the-shelf solution for everyone who's not into custom keyboards. You have to remember, Yunzi are really pushing this as an off-the-shelf solution, and this keyboard has something for everyone despite my qualms with it being plastic. I think this is actually genuinely a really good off-the-shelf option, and it's an option that won't break the bank. Now, if you're interested in grabbing the Kizzy Z98 Pro, it's going for around 109 US dollars or around 169 Aussie dollars at the time of filming this video. I think this keyboard is actually launching today. I just plan on making this video anyway, but the price has dropped by like 20 or 30 US dollars. For that price and for what the Z98 Pro offers, I honestly don't think that this is a terrible option for people who want a good off-the-shelf keyboard or someone who's a custom keyboard enthusiast, right? It's a solid keyboard. I don't hate it, but let us know in the comments what you think about the Yunzi Kizzy Z98 Pro. I reckon they could have made the naming a little bit less confusing, but at the same time, it's just a name, and it's a name for a keyboard that I thoroughly enjoyed. So good work, Yunzi. This is a really good keyboard, and I'm looking forward to checking out more of their keyboards in the future because this is the first one I've checked out and I'm thoroughly impressed by it. It is a great keyboard and the price is good and that little screen is awesome. If you like this video, you know what to do, like and subscribe. If you hated the video, fair enough. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peek, we seek. Listen to the sound of this thing. It just, I know the keyboard enthusiasts will be like, oh, that sounds either really good or really bad, but to me, it just sounds very nice. Thanks for watching.